Hey, free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. Now, I have a treat for you guys. So I have kind of like built a team based on Freezy's comp. So he has done a lot of testing in the PTR server, and he has also given me a lot of insight on what one of the better teams would look like. Now, these are not all the right Espers. I'm using Pritzker here just to show you guys something. But aside from that, Yamato is actually not bad for the Void Messenger. And the reason for that is because not only does he have the speed lead, which is always helpful, he also has buff blocker on his second skill, and he is not a flow type Esper. So right now we have multiple buff blockers. We have Elaine, who is just a single target, so she's not going to be good here. But in terms of like AoE buff blockers, we have a flow type Zora, we have a flow type Gaius as well, and I think that's about... I can't really recall just yet, okay? So you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, and then we also have Biontina, who's a single target flow type buff blocker. So in terms of AoE buff block, we only have Yamato right now. So he is going to be quite important, I would think, because you want to prevent this boss from having his attack up buff, basically all his buffs on his first attack, on his first skill. Now, aside from that, Yamato also brings the attack up buff, which means he has 3 important things in his kit, but that doesn't mean that he's good at all. It just means that he is viable for this particular content, and he's also free to play, so very nice. Now, I know I talked about Javid not being that good in this content, and that only pertains truly to like the lower floors of the Void Messenger. I think in B110 onwards, he's going to see a lot more use because the follows are going to be a lot harder to kill, and therefore the true damage that the follows would deal on death to the boss is going to come by less frequently, and it's also going to be very important as well. So Javid will potentially have more users, not in the lower floors. Now, Yuhime is probably going to be one of the best Espers for this entire Void Messenger. And not just for the Void Messenger, but also for the Soaring Goat, which we will talk about in a separate video. Now, the reason why she is so good is because of her smart AI. She will always use her second skill, which has an AoE defense break, and this is going to help you out with your DPS a lot, especially when using Espers like Javid or using Ashley at the same time. Now, of course, on top of that, she also has an AoE on her third skill, which does a decent DPS, but the HP cap reduction doesn't actually stick. So whenever you kill any of the ads, their HP cap is just going to replenish back to like 100%. So it's not quite the same as Dark Star-Lord. Now, the reason why I have Pritzker here is to just show you guys that stuns is probably not going to be the way to go. And the reason is because when the enemies get stunned and they do take a turn, the boss is still going to gain 20% AP with his Thirst Grave over here. So AP plus 20% after an ally takes action. Okay, maybe I'll show you guys what I mean first before I move on to like the better lineup. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to show you guys. So number one, we have a lot of stunned enemies here, and whenever they break out their stun, whenever they take a turn, the boss is actually going to gain 20% AP, which is it's a problem. So this just showcase that, see that the boss gains AP. This just to showcase that stuns is not necessarily going to be the best approach for this particular boss. I think a better approach is AP control. So maybe not Pritzker, but maybe Lucas, like what Freezy showcased in his PTR testing. And another thing that I want to show you guys is now that these guys have HP cap reduction because of Yuhime, this is what happens when we take them out. Maybe something like so, and when they die, they actually rebirth with full 100% HP cap. So not the same as Dark Star-Lord. Now, truthfully speaking, I feel like Ashley is an excellent pick over here regardless because of her AP reduction that she has on her Rainbow Bridge buff, and also the extra attack buff if it's necessary. Or if you, like, let's say you don't want to use Yamato, right? It's perfectly fine to use Yuhime as a speed lead. And in terms of buff block, you can probably, you know, bank on maybe Zora or something else. But for the most part, there are many different Espers who will work well over here. So, for example, you can even use both the twins. I feel like the twins are still going to do really, really well, even though one of them is off-typing, because the boss is, after all, a wind type. But yeah, I think in general, there are many options. Just bring a lot of AoE DPS, AoE control, AP reductions, or even just debuff extensions. So that's why the twins are here. Debuff extensions, very important. And of course, we have... we can use Intisa, who works really well with Javid. We can also use Tricky if you want to buff strip, or you want to not buff block, debuff extend. Okay, so now the boss is going to use his first skill, which will give himself a lot of buff. I'm not sure why I'm lagging so much, by the way. But because he has the buff block, that is going to prevent himself from getting the slew of buffs that... You see that? Okay, buff block, yeah. If not, he will gain attack up buff, defense up, and speed up, which is all completely shit for us, especially in like the higher floors. So buff block is still going to be very important, and that's why Yamato is kind of crucial over here. I mean, until we reach a point where we have another non-flow type AoE buff blocker, then there will be, you know, more users elsewhere. But yeah, okay, very nice. So double buff block, so he will not use his first skill again. for quite a while. So yeah, that would probably buy us enough time, especially if we have max skilled our Yamato here. So I think if you guys are struggling a little bit with this particular boss, you can try using more AP control, I guess. So if you do not have Yamato, okay, maybe if you do not have Yu, he may just bring AP controllers. Like, I think Ira, I'm not super sure just yet. No, Ira is off typing, right? I'm not super sure just yet, but this team is currently working out very strongly for me. Okay, anyway, I have reached the end of whatever that we can unlock for the time being. The next couple of floors unlocks in quite a few hours. So this will be the team that I'm running for the Void Messenger, at least for the time being, until we reach like harder floors like 110 or something like that, maybe like floor 100 onwards. But when the day comes and I feel like we need to shift our lineup a little bit, I will let you guys know on how we can do so. But anyway, there's one more last thing that I want to show you guys just real quick, right? So if you go to the advanced strategy, please take note that we are using a brand new set of advanced strategies. And as you can see, I'm already 28.3%. And the reason why I am all the way up here is because I have saved a whole ton of pure essences, like more than 1,000 of it. And I didn't actually use it in the Raging Lion itself so that I can give myself a bigger head start. And therefore, right now I'm able to achieve like floor 30 rather simply, rather easily. So yeah, moving on to the Sunken Viper in the future, this is possibly going to be a strategy that you might want to follow, especially if you're not super sure if your team is going to be strong enough to deal with the Sunken Viper. But that is for another day. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up, it really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Dairy Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.